Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, Tage and I chat about our last couple of days at the resorts. We had Disneyland, DCA, and then Disneyland one final time.
Yep, so let's get started.
Howdy, partners. For your safety, remain seated with your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast. And be sure to watch your ears. If any of you folks are wearing hats or glasses, best remove them, because Tage and Teresa have the wildest ride in the wilderness.
On our first day back, what we did was we decided, because we had the first day at Disneyland was a little discombobulated and we started in Galaxy's Edge, we decided on this day that we were going to start in Fantasyland and try to knock out those.
So we were still discombobulated.
Yeah, we were a little bit. But we decided to start back there. So the first thing we went on, of course, was Peter Pan.
Tried to get that one knocked out, yes.
Producer James and all of us played the Play Disney app in the line, and you can find some different things. And at the end, there's a fun little Tinkerbell thing that happens.
Yeah, so it was really fun because it was kind of, it's Peter Pan, right? There's always a line. So it was fun because we got to make some magic happen for this cute little girl that was in line behind us that didn't know that Tinkerbell was hanging out in the queue with us. So it was really fun to use the app and make magic happen for this little girl. Her dad was so excited and was like, how did you do that? Where did you do that? So, it seems kind of cheesy, the Play Disney app, especially like maybe if you're an adult, you're embarrassed, but it was really fun. We did it quite a bit for a lot of the queues, and actually some of the queues were like feeling like we almost wanted to like hang out in them longer to finish the games, but Tinkerbell's always fun.
Yeah, the only one that we couldn't figure out that we did later on was an Indiana Jones one because there was a lot of translation, and it was hard to figure out where the things were for translation. But things like Space Mountain had a really good Play Disney app. But yeah, Peter Pan looked great, as always. They haven't changed or modified anything yet to take out any cultural things that they've been doing with other attractions. After we got off that, we went over and got on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, which is always a fun time.
I will say that the one thing with Mr. Toad is I feel, and a little bit with Pinocchio, but I feel like Pinocchio is still better. Mr. Toad, I feel like he needs a little bit of a refresh because it's a lot of 2D. How do I want to say 2D effects in Mr. Toad, whereas a lot of the other Fantasyland dark rides, most of the Fantasyland dark rides, have gotten a bit of a refresh, and so their scenes are a little bit more updated. So hopefully Toad will get love pretty soon here.
It's still a fun ride, though. I really like Toad. We did hide one of our pins in the queue for this because we were doing that thing with the Instagram where we were posting some clues. And somebody did find that one, right?
Yep. Same thing with, we did hide a pin in the queue of Peter Pan as well. I'm not sure if that one got found, but we actually bumped into the person that found our Mr. Toad's pin later that day, so we'll talk about that when we get to lunch.
So after Mr. Toad, we went over and got on the teacups, and there wasn't much of a line. It was kind of a walk-on, but it was a lot of fun. I'll tell you what, trying to squeeze all four of us into the teacup was certainly something special, but we had a really good time. Producer Vern took some great video and stuff there of us doing that, and, teacups. You can't go wrong with teacups.
After the teacups, we decided to head back a little further into Fantasyland, and we went to Small World. Decided to get Small World done before the line was too bad. It was only like a 5-minute wait. So again, basically walk on. I don't think there was anything really. Small World still looks like Small World. I don't think there was anything major to note about Small World.
No, on the way, though, we did see Pinocchio and Geppetto in the Small World Mall area, which was super cool. But yeah, no, as Teresa said, everything looked great for It's a Small World. We were looking a little bit more around this time for, especially producer James was looking, because he had asked that trivia question about the characters. So he was looking for all the Disney characters everywhere, which turned out well. After It's a Small World, we decided to go into Toontown. Now, this was the only time we went into Toontown our entire trip. We rode Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, which was fun. Again, there was like no line at all for that. We got on pretty quick.
It was nice that we were there early in the day because it was before the heat of the day. It was before the crowds had made their way back there. I will say I think Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin looked really, really nice. They cleaned it. The soundtrack seemed a little bit easier to hear. I could tell a difference in Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin versus some of the other attractions.
But this one, as all the attractions we kind of will talk about here, we've noticed that it seemed like they had done a lot of volume, like turning the volume up. It seemed a lot of attractions seemed loud. This one was also kind of louder. And I don't know if that's just me getting older or what, but I feel like the attractions were a lot louder than they used to be.
I was joking that they had cleaned the speakers, so it was more easy to hear. But it was cool, though, because there were some attractions, pirates, I actually noticed this, that I was noticing and hearing voices of characters that I don't remember hearing before. So I don't know if it was just that I hadn't been there for a while, or if it was just that those tracks had been bumped up a little bit, or what it was. But it was cool because it was almost like experiencing it a little bit like it was the first time.
What did you think of seeing the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway building for the first time as we walked in?
So I just love how dwarfed the what building sign is on the building, because that building is massive, just massive.
It was a massive building, and of course they were still doing work on it when we were there, so there was some construction noise and stuff, which was a little strange in Toontown.
It was kind of loud too.
It was. So we walked over and we did Gadget's Go Coaster, which was basically total walk-on. We did notice that there was an inordinate amount of hats and whatnot that had like fallen off of people's things.
Lots and lots of hats, lots and lots of ears.
Yes. As we left Toontown, we filled up our water bottles by the Fantasyland Theater, which we didn't know at the time, but later I saw on social media that they will be doing the world premiere of the Jungle Cruise there.
Yeah.
Or they did it, I guess, by the time this podcast airs.
And we actually did a Grand Circle tour at some point, and we could see the screen, so that was pretty cool. We weren't quick enough to get our cameras out to take a photo of the screen that they were using for the premiere of Jungle Cruise, but it was still pretty cool.
So as we were heading back towards other attractions we wanted to do, of course we came across the Genie and Jasmine and Moana kind of leaving the area there along the Small World Mall. So that was kind of cool because you don't really see them a lot.
No. We weren't sure where they were, if they were stationed where Geppetto and Pinocchio were stationed, which is just off the parade route, or if they had a different place. But we at least waved to them as they walked back to backstage. After waving goodbye to our friends, we decided to go head over to Storybook Land and take a cruise around the cutest little area in the park. Such an underrated area. It's hard to do in the heat of the day, lovely at night, but I think we hit it at a good time because it was before the heat of the day, but the sun was still out, so we could see the shininess of all of the different gold leaf parts of the buildings there. Just a cool, very nice, well-kept area.
Yeah, and the other thing too is we had a pretty good skipper, I guess, or boat captain. She was very good with it, and like you said, the line there did kind of move a little slow for us, but it was a great ride like always. So after that, I think it was time for us to leave Fantasyland, and we headed over because our Rise of the Resistance boarding group had been called, and so of course we rode Rise of the Resistance again. And I will reiterate again, I reiterated this on the last episode, but I will say it again, I thoroughly enjoyed it much better. We were able to ride it a grand total of 3 times on this trip, and with the exception of our very last day trip one, everything moved really fast, really smooth. Every complaint I had about the Disney World one fell away for this one, and I thought it was spectacular and wonderful, and it was awesome. And so I am now, and actually because of some of the maintenance problems that it seemed like we experienced with Indy, I actually think the attraction that I probably liked the most this trip was Rise of the Resistance.
Wow, that's saying something. So after we escaped the Resistance, we decided to treat ourselves with lunch over at Bengal Barbecue. We did use mobile order because it's just so nice and convenient. I had gotten, Vern and I shared the plate. I had a Bengal and a banyan skewer, and the plate comes with a pile of rice, and then there was also coleslaw, and we got I got a tiger tail. I never had one of their tiger tails over there. It's basically this cheesy breadstick.
I don't think I took a bite of that even. Was it good?
It was good. I don't remember if this is terrible. It was only a couple days ago, but I don't remember. I don't think there was any sort of sauce. So I actually was dipping it in the extra sauce for my skewers.
I would say that's good. A pro tip. Definitely buy the extra sauce, because isn't it 59 cents or some ridiculous amount like that?
Yes.
I also got the same thing, but I got 2 of the Bengal skewers. I actually ended up using half of Teresa's sauce because I love the sauce on there. Rice and stuff was great. We were actually able to sit in what used to be the Indiana Jones Outfitters or whatever that was there that's now converted to seating. So that was really nice. We met up with...
I also had a jungle julep.
Oh, how was that?
I love them. They're basically like a slushie. And they're just, I don't know. They're sweet, but they're very refreshing. Not overly sweet, in my opinion. Just very, very fun. But it was while we were enjoying our lunch that we actually bumped into the Disneyland nurse. His name is Scott. I don't know if you guys follow him on Instagram. He's awesome. Shares all sorts of great Disney tips and tricks and videos from the parks when he visits. But we bumped into him, said hi, and he actually was the one that had found our pin over at Mr. Toad's Wilder Ride. So that was pretty exciting.
That was exciting. We also helped him out because he had talked to us and then left, and for about the 2 or 3 minutes between that and us leaving, he had not found a seat. So we actually gave our seat up to him for the trip. So that was awesome.
You know, us Disney lovers and nerds need to stick together.
Absolutely. So we took the opportunity after lunch to go up into Tarzan's treehouse. So we went up there, and beautiful views as always. The tree looked fine. There wasn't any like maintenance issues or anything like that.
You forgot the most important thing we did before we went in the tree.
What did we do?
We went and bought something.
Oh my goodness, you want me to talk about this, huh?
I do. You're so excited about it.
Very excited because I decided on this trip that instead of a backpack, I wanted to have a fanny pack for part of the trip, because producer James was carrying a backpack with some of our stuff, but I wanted something where I could put my phone and charger and all that stuff. So I just wanted to find a Disneyland fanny pack that I was going to enjoy and get some good use out of. And I saw someone earlier in the day, I think at the market house, while Teresa was getting coffee, who had an Indiana Jones one. So producer James found it in the store there right as you enter Adventureland, and it was in a small little bucket. There was like 4 of them in it by the cash wrap. And so I ended up getting one of those. I also found one of our listeners wanted a tiki shirt that she had been looking for, and I was able to find in that store as well, which was awesome. It's so nice that we have the community that we can kind of help each other out, get merchandise when we're not in the park or something that's limited merchandise, so that's been really great. But yeah, so I wore it every day that we were in the park, this fanny pack, which was good. The only problem I had with it, and this is just because it's a fanny pack, I found that the least convenient time for me was when you go to use the restroom, it's kind of in the way. So I either had to like spin it around or give it to James or something to use it. But anyway, the only thing with the treehouse that was bad was once we got to the bottom, there was a couple of the crates when you pull on the ropes that weren't working. But I was able to get one of them working, and then we saw Captain Jack Sparrow above Pirates of the Caribbean, and he was super awesome.
We did. He was kind of lingering over there. And while we were doing this, producer Vern actually decided that he wanted to take a trip around the Jungle Cruise, a solo trip around the Jungle Cruise. So he went and enjoyed the Jungle Cruise. He was very excited because it was in his Jungle Cruise outfit. So once we were done with that, all 4 of us took a trip on the Jungle Cruise. So Vern was extra excited that he got to take back-to-back excursions. So of course we enjoyed the Jungle Cruise again. We enjoyed the Jungle Cruise several times on this trip, which was great.
We had pretty good skippers each time too, which made it good. We had one that we talked about in the last episode, and then I think the one we went on the last day was also very good, because she had different versions of kind of some of the new jokes, because it did, for a while there, it did seem like we had kind of the same jokes a couple times, so it was good to kind of have it presented in a different way.
After we survived the jungle, we decided to go treat ourselves at the Jolly Holiday Bakery and Cafe. We were very excited to see that they actually still had the 66th birthday cupcake for Disneyland, so of course we had to grab one of those. Tage and I also made sure to grab Matterhorn macaroons, which we had not tried before, and the cupcake was pretty good. It's not something I would have had before, but it was fun. It was festive. Not something I would have waited in a crazy line for or anything like that. But the macaroon, yum. I really liked it. Very coconutty.
Yeah, so it was really cool because it was the macaroon. The texture was different. I did not expect it. It was kind of denser than I thought, and the white chocolate, of course, that kind of made the top icy peaks kind of thing, was a little more firm than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was
thick too. There was a lot of frosting on it.
I thought it was a good cookie, and I think it was a great deal, because wasn't it just like a couple bucks, $3, something like that? And then of the cupcake, I thought the cupcake was good because it was hot out, and the cupcake was cold. Yeah. So it was nice to kind of eat that.
That was very true, yes.
Yeah. What else did we get there? Is that all we got was the macaroon and the cupcake?
I think so.
Okay. So we decided after we ate lunch to go to Main Street and kind of get some, do some shopping perusing, because the night 2 nights before, producer James and I had gone through and it was a madhouse in there, so we wanted to just kind of have a chance to look around.
I think that was actually the first time I had been in one of the shops.
I think so.
Because we didn't do any shops really in DCA, and we didn't do any on Saturday either, so I think that was the first time I actually looked in a shop. But I got distracted because with the Play app, you can go visit some different interactive elements in the parks, and one of them is Esmeralda, who lives on Main Street. She's in the
Penny Arcade.
The Penny Arcade, or is it the Crystal Arcade? So Esmeralda lives in the Penny Arcade just off of Main Street, and if you download the Disney Play app, you can actually visit her once a day for free, and she will give you your fortune. There was also a story that she tells you. So on my card, it was chapter 1 and then whatever my little fortune was too. So it was pretty fun. You had to look into her eyes, and yeah, I don't know, it was fun.
Yeah, I thought it was neat that you didn't have to actually pay anything for it, that you could just use the Play app and get something from it, which was super cool. And there was a whole story, right? Because it kept track of it and gave you, because you didn't get a second one,
no.
But the first one said story
Chapter
1.
Yeah.
Afterwards, after we kind of went and looked at some of the stuff in the stores, we did look at the Emporium. We did look at the Emporium windows, and the windows were kind of operating a little slower than normal, so it was kind of...
Well, and I couldn't tell if they were operating slower or if they just didn't have them turned on to full normal mode. Because we did notice in our last evening in the parks that they were completely working, and it wasn't like they were broken or something. But we were for example, we were watching Cinderella, and she never actually transformed. It was just one side of the diorama that shows. So if you don't know about the windows on Main Street up at the Emporium, they are called magic windows. If you stand there and watch them long enough, they do come to life and they do change. So for example, Cinderella, one of the scenes is her being, with the fairy godmother being transformed, and then the other scene is her dancing with the prince. But it was just showing her dancing with the prince scene. We never saw the fairy godmother, so I'm not quite sure what was going on there, but it was still fun.
So, but they're very neat. If you've never checked out them, you should definitely check them out. Of course, right at this point, a cavalcade happened, and it was not the 66th cavalcade that we had seen a couple days prior. This one had the fire engine and some of the characters walking around, and Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, and we had the omnibus with some characters in it. We actually got really lucky. We were right at the tip of Town Square, so they came right in front of us. It was really amazing. The only thing that was a little weird is usually the parades they come down Main Street. If you're looking towards the castle and you're at the top of Town Square, usually they go to your left and they circle Town Square and then go out the parade exit. They actually didn't do that. They kind of just turned right at the beginning of Town Square and went right out the parade exit.
Yeah. So they do have these cavalcades multiple times a day. You can ask a cast member when they are. It's not like it's advertised like the normal parades are, but you can talk to a cast member if you're interested in catching one of these to find out, kind of when and where. They can give you some pointers as to how to catch the cavalcade. So be sure to ask on your next visit.
One of the cool things about this cavalcade is the last unit in this little cavalcade was a parade float of Mickey with the drum that came from the old Sensational parade. So that was really neat to see a parade float out there.
Yeah.
And we had seen online, not in person, that, the Arendelle float came out, once or twice. So if you've seen it once, check it out a couple times. There
are 2 cavalcades that run daily, like Tage kind of hinted. One is the one that we witnessed. The other one is they do have a Frozen themed one. From what we were told when we were there, each parade runs twice a day. So there's a cavalcade 4 times a day, and it's either going to be the Frozen version or it's going to be the Mickey and Friends version.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, you just taught me something on the thing, so that's great. So after the cavalcade, we went into Tomorrowland, and we finally got producer James, because Teresa and Vern and Kate had gone on the first night, Space Mountain, but producer James had not been on it. It's his favorite attraction. So we went over there, and we got on that. We did play some more Disney Play app stuff in the queue there. That one was kind of cool, because there was 4 little things you'd have to type in. It was great.
That one was super fun. So you basically, there's different mini games, and you have this decoder thing, and you have to enter in these, Tage was saying, these little codes. How do I say this though? If you aren't going into the extended queue that has the big satellite, so this is the area that used to be the Starcade, all of the codes, a lot of the codes are hidden in that room. So if you're in the extended queue, you can't play the full game, but there are still a lot of different mini games, and basically you're like souping up your space shuttle before you get on board. So it's pretty fun.
The other thing we noticed is some of the codes are duplicated other places, so do keep an eye out, and don't get discouraged if you type something in and it says you've already redeemed it, because they do duplicate some of them. But Teresa was right. What happens is you have there's kind of like a racing game thing that you play in there, and if you get all of these codes and you get all these upgrades, it makes it a lot easier for you to win. So it was a really good time passing situation. We rode it. It was great.
After that, we decided to head on over and take a trip on Star Tours. I'm very happy that last time I rode this, every time we ended up in one of the, like the Salt Planet, or we'd end up on Batuu. It was very, very repetitive the last couple of times that I had ridden, so I was very happy. We did go to, I'm trying to think, where we were in a pod race.
Yeah, we were on a pod race on Tatooine, and then we were on...
like a space battle.
Yep,
and then we ended up in some sort of city. This is, sorry for my lack of Star Wars knowledge here. But yeah, so it was fun. So I was happy that it was new to me scenes. I don't know if I feel like they were promoting movies and promoting Batuu the last couple of times that I had experienced it. So it's fun to kind of have some of the more classics.
I was surprised that it had taken us so long to ride Star Tours, but we rode Star Tours. We did end up riding Star Wars on our last day too, and the problem we ran into was, for whatever reason, I don't know if we got in the same cabin or what, but we actually
wasn't the same cabin.
Well, we ended up having the same two scenes, so that was kind of unfortunate.
I will say this though, it is a little interesting to me, right? Because you've got all this excitement with Batuu and Galaxy's Edge, and you do have two very immersive Star Wars themed rides back there that we just didn't feel the same pull to Star Tours as we had previously, I don't think. Mm-hmm. So it made me a little sad for Star Tours, because I do think it's a good attraction. I do think, the technology was great, and considering, when that came out, it was very ahead of its time and very cool. So it makes me kind of wonder if other people are feeling the same way, or if there's still some diehard, loyal to the end Star Tours fans that are going to make sure that they go on at every trip.
Well, we know that that's the case because we've had listeners in the past tell us that like their kids think it's like their favorite attraction and everything. So,
and I will say too, when we rode on the last day, there was the most adorable child that was sitting behind producer James and I, and he was scared in the beginning. He was little. I'm going to guess 4 or 5. Yeah. And he was very scared in the beginning because it was very dark, but his pure joy and excitement when he got to see characters like Leia, because there was a hologram on the screen, and then we had these droid things that were stuck on our windshield, and he was yelling at them to get off. It was adorable. And we were talking about it after we got off. We're like, it's not something that we're aware of because there's only adults in our party, but we're like, is he even able to go experience the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run? Like, he would freak out if he'd be able to, but I don't, perhaps there's a height restriction, and I don't know what it is, and maybe he's not tall enough, so I do think it's good for those young fans, especially if they're not quite old enough or quite big enough to go experience the bigger attractions on Batuu.
Yeah, I'm with Teresa. This kid was adorable, and I didn't hear the beginning part because he wasn't sitting right behind me. The first time I heard is it gets quiet when Leia pops up and says like that she needs everybody's help, and he goes, "She is from my movie at home."
Yeah, I know her from my Star Wars movie at home. It was so cute.
It was so adorable, and you were right. He was like screaming to get the things off, and then his mom at the end said like, "See what happens when you're brave," because he was so excited. After Star Tours, we walked across the way to Buzz Lightyear and
go save some space rangers,
Astro Blasters, which was fine except for the fact that we stopped a couple times, which gave us a lot of points. And I think who ended up winning? Was that James or you?
James did, because Vern and I kept getting stuck in like tunnels that had just like the not like high point ones.
Right.
You guys got stuck in great spots though, because you'd be like just entering a room, so you'd be lined up for those nice high point target, so that worked out to your advantage. I
was laughing though because I did look down like the sight of my little buzz gun or whatever, and it was a good like 2 inches to the side is where my laser was pointing. So I was trying really hard to hit the right thing, but didn't. I think James ended up beating me because he found a really good one and hit it a bunch of times.
He found one of the purple targets is what it was. Buzz is one of those things I'm okay doing it one time. It's not not a must-do for me. I always feel like I'm terrible at it. As much as I think I'm hitting the targets, I realize that I'm not. But it's still fun.
Yeah. It's when I get a good gun, I really enjoy it, but I don't need to go on it like 100 times.
No. After that, we decided to go over, and this was kind of interesting. We decided to kind of like snack our way through dinner. We didn't have a like traditional, this is our full dinner for the day thing. So we started off, I really wanted a corn dog from the Red Wagon. So Vern and I and producer James all got corn dogs, while Tage went over and got a hot dog from the Coke Corner. And then we met up over by the Jolly Holiday and kind of ate out there.
Well, two things. I didn't mention this earlier when we had the cupcake from there, but it was the first time I had eaten out by the Jolly Holiday, and that's a great spot to like sit and people watch.
It's so underrated. So like it's like the calm at the edge of the storm, because you like can see all the chaos, but you're in this like relaxing, quiet, sometimes shady if you get an umbrella spot. Yeah.
So at the Coke Corner, I got the chili dog, actually the chili cheese dog, and I thought it was very good. I also took a bite of producer James's corn dog, which I also thought was good, but I kind of just wanted a hot dog at that point.
I tell you, there's something magical about Disney corn dogs, especially Disneyland corn dogs. They're just yum. I feel like it's a must-do for me every trip as a corn dog.
When you do the corn dogs, what do you do for dipping sauces, or do you do any dipping sauces?
I always get ketchup and mustard, and I put it in my little boat, and sometimes I dip it and sometimes I don't. I don't really have any rhyme or reason to my corn dog eating preferences. It's just all yummy to me. It's the breading. It's so good.
Their breading was very good, and their ratio of breading to hot dog was also very good. And I usually do ketchup on mine just to answer the question as well. I never do mustard. I'm not a huge mustard fan.
After that, we decided to go back to the Tropical Hideaway. We wanted to go pick up a couple of bao buns, and of course, we wanted to see if they still had the like coveted new Jungle Cruise boat. So basically they have this cute plastic Jungle Cruise boat that was for a like banana split style sundae that they made out of Dole Whip, and we got the sundae, we got the boat. It was very, very delicious.
It was very good.
And I thought it was at a really good price for Disney merch plus food.
Oh yeah.
Because a popcorn bucket's usually $20, and you get the popcorn bucket plus popcorn. This was a really generous portion of sundae. It had 2 mounds of Dole Whip. There was this like caramel sauce that was drizzled on it. The cast member told me that the caramel sauce was made with coconut milk, that had shaved coconut pieces. There was actually chunks of dehydrated banana on it as well, and then 2 big pineapple spears that kind of made up the quote-unquote banana split of the sundae. So super good. I couldn't have, but I would have if I would have wanted to eat an entire one myself. It was that delicious.
It was very, very good, and you're absolutely right with the portion size, and coming with the boat was crazy. It was basically the equivalent of like 2 Dole Whips worth of Dole Whip ice cream on there, plus all this extra stuff that was on there. It was very good. I was actually surprised at how much I liked it, and that sauce I thought was really good.
Yeah. The other thing, too, if you don't want this big sundae to eat, if you're just looking for the boat, you can purchase just the souvenir boat. It does cost the same as if you were to get the boat and the sundae. And the other side tip too is we did get the sundae on a separate dish from the boat, so it's not like you have to have it served in your Jungle Cruise souvenir boat. You can have it off to the side, and actually I think they gave us a bigger portion because it was off to the side, because looking at the portion they gave us in comparison to the boat, they were very generous.
Yeah, it was very good. The bao buns were good as always. So I got all 3 of the different bao buns that were there. So there was a kind of a weird like beef mixture one. It was not the bulgogi beef, which I really liked when I was there back in D23. The chicken, there was a chicken one that was pretty okay, and the veggie one. So I do miss the bulgogi beef one because I thought the bulgogi beef one had the best flavor. But between the float and this, I thought it was really, really good. I kept eating off of Teresa's Sunday thing that was very good. The line to get in there was also very long. I don't know what was going on, but the line didn't move very fast.
So everybody was getting Dole Whip when we were there. So instead of everyone kind of spreading out between the stations, everybody was stopped at the one station for Dole Whip. The Dole Whip stand line was also very large. The other weird thing too is the Tropical Hideaway when we were there was not doing any sort of mobile order, so it was standby only. Whereas the Tiki Juice Bar was both. You could do mobile order or standby.
So after our dinner of hot dogs and Dole Whips and bao buns, we went and did Pirates. And Pirates, again, Pirates is Pirates. We had a good experience there. It was kind of funny because this one, the boat was listing to the right like the whole time, so we were a little like, ooh, it's going to tip over. But we made it through just fine.
So after we disembarked from our journey with the Pirates, we went over and checked out Pieces of 8 and then also Port Royal to check out what new merch they had in there. I didn't see very much new stuff in Pieces of 8. I was very excited though because, as you guys know, I have started pin collecting and pin trading. I'm only brave enough to do it with like the cast member boards right now, but I found a set, like a cast member set series that I didn't know it existed previous to this trip, and it was like all different caramel apples. So the first one I found was actually a mini dipped caramel apple, and I believe it was here.
Minnie Mouse, to be clear.
A Minnie Mouse caramel dipped apple in the pin form. Super, super cute. So I found that there. We did walk over into the other side of it, which is like the Haunted Mansion theme and Nightmare Before Christmas themed area. Tons of new Haunted Mansion merch. It was great. I was a little bummed. I couldn't remember. I know we had reported on them that they did have new Haunted Mansion ears. There was 2 different styles. And I couldn't remember before the trip if those were just teasers that they had put out there, if they were actually available. Well, they were teasers because we couldn't find them anywhere. Or they were super popular and totally sold out. But I think they were just teasers. I was hoping, though, that maybe they'd be there. But lots of new T-shirts. There was all sorts of new socks.
Well, there was that
tons of stuff. There was like shorts, all sorts of stuff.
There was that set of bottles that I thought you were going to get that had like the
about those.
Nightshade and the Worm's Wart.
Yeah,
and
from Nightmare Before Christmas. So just to kind of clue all of you guys in, we are actually sitting on the Amtrak train on our way back from our day in San Diego. So after this, we are going to be going to downtown Disney. So there is still a chance that those jars may be coming home with me because we're not totally out of the Disney bubble.
There, but let's hope.
Just yet.
Let's hope we find them for you because I'm excited for you. So after that, we went on the Haunted Mansion again because of course you do.
It's a Haunted Mansion.
We did not go in the side entrance this time. We went in the normal entrance.
And actually, so of the trip, the only day and the only time that we noticed that the side entrance was available was when we just kind of tripped and stumbled upon it and were invited to go back there. So I'm not sure what that was about. Part of me wonders if one of the stretching rooms wasn't working. But yeah, so the Monday and then our final day in the parks on Wednesday, both times when we were at the Haunted Mansion, and I did the Haunted Mansion twice on Wednesday, I did not see anybody going down to the servants' quarters entrance at all. So that makes me believe it was even like it was truly Disney magic that we got to go.
Yeah. We got off of this and we realized that the line for Splash Mountain was finally to a low enough point that we could actually ride it.
Oh, no.
Which was awesome. We got on it. We had almost the entire boat to ourselves. We did get, I think, a single rider in the back of our boat. So producer Vern, has this thing where he likes to record us on his phone of us doing these things. And, of course, we got wet like you do on Splash Mountain.
Let's talk about the positives first.
Oh, positives.
So Splash itself, inside, the lighting seems better.
Yes.
And it seemed brighter and better and easier to see.
Yeah.
That was the positives. Now on to the negatives.
The negatives. We got wet like we normally do.
Soaked. Oh, no, not just wet. There was a tidal wave. It was like a monsoon had happened. I think it feels like they've filled the water levels higher in there because Vern was completely soaked, literally head to toe. I think he said each time he was in the front of our boat, each time we went into one of the dips or whatever, lapfuls of water.
Yep.
When we did the big down, there was this huge wave that came up and over.
Late.
On him, me, and I think you got a little bit of it, but you were behind me, so you kind of hit a little bit there. Good for you. But like, our shoes had no hope. Our outfits, my bag was soaked. My bag was soaked the next morning. My socks were soaked the next morning. That was the most drenched I've ever gotten on Splash Mountain.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I was used
pretty fun too.
Yeah, I was used to getting wet on Splash Mountain. I knew that there was like it's funny because it seems like those little dips inside get you way wetter than they should. Like all they serve to do is scoop water into your boat. And of course, my whole right side was wet. My shoe was wet and everything else. I thought I was being smart because Teresa was sitting in the seat in front of me, and I'd put my legs under Teresa, thinking, "Oh, it'll hit her and not hit." Nope.
No hope,
I will say, because Teresa likes to point out that I cheat, and I will say that just for any of you who know me or will ever see a picture of me on any of these attractions, this includes anything where you take a photo, basically. But Splash Mountain is one of those where I put my hands up until they take the picture, and then I duck in front of behind the person in front of me so I don't get as wet.
I called him a poser.
Yes.
Literally.
Oh, posing, yep. And so anyway, so we got to the bottom, and Vern, in the video, it's hilarious because Vern gets soaked, and then you could see him spit water out of his mouth because it made it in his mouth. Honestly,
for me, that was the, most drenching experience I've had on Splash Mountain. Do you think you've had a wetter experience, or do you not? You were third in line, so it was a little, you had a little bit different experience.
I've been in the front before, and I feel like I've never gotten as wet as Vern got, for sure. I probably got maybe as wet as you were, but I was in the front when that happened. I mean, the wettest I've ever gotten was Grizzly River Run for D23. That's the most wet I've ever been.
This is what happened. We barely got a misting on Grizzly River Run, and so we just got all of the dousing on our one trip on Splash Mountain.
So after Splash, Vern went over and got us a spot for the fireworks, and producer James and Teresa and I went and rode Casey Jr., which I felt kind of bad about because I wanted to go sit in the back because I firmly believe on Casey Jr. if you sit in the back, it's really fun. Well, there's this little kid who got there just before we did, so he got the very back. Teresa and I squeezed in. I thought James could also squeeze in. James gave the look of nope, I'm not trying that. He said the only
James
thing
and I both sat there, we're not all fitting in here, but
the only thing he wanted was to not be in a cage, and by the time he figured out he wouldn't fit with us, the only free spot was in a cage. So poor producer James was in a cage for Casey Jr. Poor James.
For me, Casey Jr. At night, that was the first time I'd done Casey Jr. and I'd done Storybook Land canal boats at night before, but Casey Jr. at night, actually very nice, very enjoyable. I liked it a lot. It was funny because you were saying that you felt like they've slowed the train down.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel quite as fast for you.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed because one of the things that I like Casey Jr. for is, especially if you sit in the back, it does get kind of whippy. So we got over to the fireworks, and producer Vern had gotten us a great spot. He was right in front of the photo supply store on Main Street, mm-hmm. and it was great because we were right by a area where guests could walk across the street, and it was great. We had a good view of the castle, we had a great view of the sky, and as we said on the last episode, we had a kind of a tree in the way for the first night of that, but they were good.
After the fireworks, we decided to rush back to Frontierland and take a trip on Big Thunder, because that's just a fun one to do at night. I think that one felt like it was basically walking on. They were actually cranking through people, so that was really nice. After that attraction, we did do a little bit of meandering and some shopping at the Frontierland Mercantile and
mm-hmm.
those shops back there, because I always I forget about those, and they're really great shops. There's a lot. They're large, first of all, and there's a lot of really cool stuff back in that area,
mm-hmm.
in those shops that you don't see at other places. We saw there was this corner that had all sorts of different cocoa stuff in it that we hadn't seen in other parts of the park. Of course, they've got a nice wall of ears, all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you, Teresa. I really like the shops in the Frontierland area. I will say my favorite shop in that area is the Westward Ho Trading Company, which has the pin trading area, which I really, really like. So after that, we just did a little bit of shopping on Main Street and left for the night because the park was closed. The next morning, we went to DCA. So in case you didn't listen to the last episode, what we did for our trip is we did Disneyland, DCA, Disneyland, DCA, Disneyland
mm-hmm.
for our trip. We went off and on. We didn't do a park hopper because we didn't think it was going to be worth it for the price and
for the time, because you could only park hop after 1 p.m. on park days versus the before times park hopper. You could hop back and forth any time of day, didn't matter. So we decided just to focus on one park per day, and we would be set with that.
So we split up in the beginning. Teresa and Vern went over and got coffee.
Yep.
And James and I went down Hollywood Boulevard because we were trying to get over to breakfast at Pym Test Kitchen because I wanted to try some of their breakfast stuff. So we were over there. Everybody, by the way, just so everybody knows, first of all, the crowd is less over on Hollywood Boulevard, which is nice. However, almost everybody over there goes to Mission Breakout. So if you are trying to get to Mission Breakout, I don't know.
Mike and Sully?
If you're trying to get to Mission Breakout, this is the way to go, because we did walk through Adventures Campus, and there were people running through Adventures Campus trying to get to Mission Breakout, and there was already a long line.
Yeah.
So don't do that. I will say the one really cool thing about this was James and I were the very first guests of Pym Test Kitchen that day, and I asked the lady at the counter, she's like, yep, you're the first ones. We had the French toast, or I had the French toast, which I thought was great. My least favorite part of it was the egg, but I'm not a huge, soft poached cooked egg person. The toast itself was not too sweet. The sweetness was all from the syrup, so I thought it was good. James got the P3 breakfast, I think is what it was called. He also enjoyed, he said the tater tots were the best part of his trip.
I feel like you called his sandwich the P3 sandwich.
So producer James had the calculated breakfast, which he really enjoyed a lot. Yeah, he liked the tater tots part of it the best. In fact, he said that out of all of the breakfasts he had that had tater tots were the best part of each of those meals. So it was very, very good, I thought.
After breakfast, we decided to head back to Pixar Pier and test our luck on Midway Mania. It was a lot of fun. We hit it at a great time because there was only a 15, maybe 20-minute wait.
It was
so
amazing.
For Midway Mania, that's pretty darn good. So we were pretty happy about that. I was kind of shocked that I somehow did the best out of the four of us, because that usually does not happen. So luck apparently was on my side, and that morning it was all that coffee. It was just going really fast, shooting all the pies and all the whatever balloons and everything that we plates and all that stuff. So it was really fun. After that, we did something a little bit different and decided to go play some of the Midway games. We did get enough tokens that each of us got to play 2 games. The first one I chose was the Total Little Kids game, and I did not care, but it was called La Luna. Basically, all you do is you pick a star that's floating by, and whatever color is on the bottom of your star is the prize that correlates with what you win. So if you really want to make sure you win a prize, that is the game to play. After that, we went over and did, what was it? Oh, it was the Wally and Eva game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, producer James did this one with me, I think. All of us did this one. And what's cool about these games is if you have a group of 2 or more people, 4 people, if you play together and nobody else is playing, somebody's going to win the prize, which is really nice.
And it kind of, so this one, it depended. If you had this many players, then you got either a small or medium prize. But if you had this or that many players, then the winner got, it depended on the size prize you got. So if you had 2 players doing this game, I think you got a small prize. 3 players playing this game, you got the medium, and then 4 players, the winner got the large prize. So since we had 4 players, we were fighting for that large prize.
Yeah, so James ended up getting an Eva because he won just barely. All of us did we were so close. He
I think super lined up because this is the one where we have the water gun. So he was super good and got his water gun lined up before the water was even squirting out. So good tactic.
Yeah, it worked out really, really well. Producer Vern went and did the one, the Heimlich one, where I think for the kids you throw bean bags or something.
I have thrown bean bags for this one. So this was a little weird. This was the Heimlich's candy corn toss. And every other time that I've played this one, they give you candy corn-shaped bean bags, and you toss them into the hungry Heimlich mouths, and that's the game. Well, for whatever reason this time, I don't know if something happened to the bean bags or if they decided to make this harder for adults or what happened exactly. They gave him baseballs. So it was impossible to try and get the baseball through Heimlich's mouth, it felt like. But we had a good effort and it was fun.
So then after that, we did the horse race one, which producer James and I played, and producer James beat me because I had one terrible thing with the ball and he kicked my butt. But it was so I got the Maverick, I think, was the horse that I ended up getting, which is, well, he got it for me. So I didn't win anything. Producer James won everything, and you won your thing, right? So
I won the one that there was no way you could lose.
Me and producer Vern, we're not the best at winning things on this.
That's okay. We were just going over there and doing it for fun. I did want to say for the horse race. So that one, your little horse, is running across the thing. But to make your horse run, it's kind of almost like a mini version of skee ball. But depending on where your ball hits, your horse is either going to walk, trot, or run. So obviously you want to try and get your little balls that you're rolling up the skee ball ramp in those further ones to make them run so that they get to the finish line faster. I thought that was I've only ever seen like other carnival games do the horse race kind of like how the Wally and Eva one was, where you're like shooting like a water gun at something to like make your horse go. So I thought that was a cool different thing to do.
Yeah, I agree with you. Usually it's like the water gun thing, so this was kind of a neat way to do it. After this, we went on the Pixar Pal Around, and of course, we went on the non-swinging gondola because I am not going to go on the swinging gondola. It was just not going to happen. But it was very nice. It was cool to see. We were a little sad to see that in the lagoon, like we've reported on before, some of the things for World of Color had been taken out for maintenance, and it looked a little worse for wear, but we're hoping that World of Color will be back before we know it.
After we got off the Pal Around, we went over to say hi to our friend Bing Bong and to go try out the new Forky Cake Pops. And you got churro toffee too, that's right. So we got the Forky Cake Pops, and then we decided to head on over and enjoy them back over at Avengers Campus, because when Tage and James were enjoying their breakfast at Pim Test Kitchen, they asked about the show times, and we were fortunate enough, thank goodness we asked, because Spider-Man was only making a couple of appearances earlier in the day. He wasn't scheduled to make any appearances that afternoon or evening, so we wanted to make sure that we caught the show. So we took our Forky Cake Pops over. What did you think of the Forky Cake Pop? I thought it was good.
The cake pops are... The cake pops are the cake pops. They basically, to me, they almost have like a cookie dough texture because of how moist the cake is.
I was going to say, this one felt a lot more doughy than the ones we had during Touch of Disney.
Yeah, I agree with you that it was a little bit more doughy. They're good,
gooey,
though.
I don't know.
They're
doughy
good, though.
Sounds like it wasn't cooked. It was cooked. It was more gooey.
Yeah, it was just real moist, really is what it came down to. I thought it was good.
It is a white chocolate on the outside. Be really careful, though. We had troubles with our Forky faces. So the faces they're adhered on there quite well, but as soon as you bite, they kind of pop off. So just beware of a rogue eye or a unibrow or a mouth flinging off as you're eating in. But they were good. It's not something I have to get every single time, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I literally took the first bite and both of his eyes popped off and fell on the ground. And his unibrow. And then poor Teresa, we got over to wait for the Spider-Man thing, and there was a forky mouth on the ground, and she kept pointing how sad she was about it, and I stomped on it.
It was perfect. It fell on the ground and was still his perfect little mouth, so that's why it was so sad.
It was really nice, though. We got there, we got a great spot kind of half in the shade, and we watched the Spider-Man thing. The Stuntronic looks amazing. I was so happy about it.
That was the coolest thing about the show, was that we somehow managed to find shade in Avengers Campus, because if you haven't visited Avengers Campus yet, shade is a very, very rare thing to find, and with how popular that land is, the little bits of shade that do exist are usually occupied. So I was really happy that we didn't have to bake in the sun to watch Spider-Man do his thing.
I agree with you on that one. So after the show was over, we went over and did Mater's Junkyard Jamboree and rode that like you do. It felt shorter than the last time we rode it, so I don't know if it was or if it was just my perception, but it was fun.
It was fun. We're going to skip over. We did a couple of other attractions that we've talked about previously on last week's episode, so we don't want to talk to you about, give you the same thing. But a couple other ones that we did hit up that we hadn't done yet. Emotional Whirlwind. That one was fun. We got to do it kind of at dusk, too, so little, memory balls were lighting up and all that. Oh, I forgot dinner.
Oh, so for lunchtime on this day, we kind of split up and did a bunch of things we wanted to do.
We went all over the place.
So producer James got a shawarma. I went over to Cozy Cone and got the chili con carne. And you went...
Vern got a shawarma as well, and I mobile ordered at Flo's and got the chicken dinner, which that was a first for me. And let me tell you, delicious, but also a really great value. I was surprised at the amount of food that we got with that. Thankfully, I was sharing because there was no way I was eating it by myself. But it was 4 pieces of chicken. I want to say it was a breast, a drummy, a wing, and a thigh. In addition to broccoli and mashed potatoes.
It looked like a whole chicken because you came and set it down, and I was like, oh my goodness, Teresa, you're that it's like a 2-person worth of food.
Was.
Like, I couldn't have eaten that by myself.
It was. It'd be great for like a family.
It would be great for a family. So I had the chili con carne, and I thought it was really good. It was Walt's chili inside a cone with some cheese on top, and I thought it was great. I had the Walt's chili for Touch of Disney, and I really enjoyed it. So I had this. I thought the cone that it came in was also very good. It was kind of like, it's like what you would expect the outer casing of like a pigs in a blanket to be. It was that kind of texture.
Sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I did try Producer James's shawarma,
Yep,
and I was very
different.
kind of disappointed. I thought it was going to be much better. The garlic sauce was pretty good. I wanted more. It was just like a seasoned chicken in a pita with the dipping sauce. I wanted more in it.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of wishing, and next time we go, because the shawarma carts do have the New York's Finest, I think is what it's called, which is the chicken shawarma that Tage was just describing. I agree. I wasn't very impressed with it. It was okay, but nothing. Vern and I kind of joke, we've been doing some of those meal box things. So right now we have Dinnerly, and they have shawarma recipes. Mm-hmm. And Vern's like, I like the ones that we made at home a little bit better. So we were a little underwhelmed by the shawarma. They do have an Impossible falafel there that next time we go, I do really want to try.
Yeah, I think I would try that too. So that kind of rounds out our... and then for dinner... we went over, and I got my panini sandwich again, my second one was bigger than the first one, but didn't taste as good. So, hit or miss there.
I was ridiculous and had a Pixar parfait for dinner. So that was wonderful. It's just a great flavor combination. It's not something something that I have to get every trip. It's not something I would have thought to do myself, the lemon and the blue raspberry, but it's just very good, very refreshing. And another side note too, for some reason, the Adorable Snowman treat stand was not doing mobile order when we were in DCA, so I'm not sure what that was about, because they did have the mobile order. There was a separate line for mobile order, but you just couldn't actually do mobile order. So hopefully that was just a temporary thing.
Yeah, I hope so too, because you at one time went and you didn't move at all in that line.
I tried to get my parfait twice. The first time I gave up because the line was not moving, and it was middle of the day in the very, very hot sun, and that line is directly in the sun, so it's not a very pleasant place to be.
Yeah, as we've been talking about, no shade. So both Producer Vern and Producer James got the Monte Cristo sandwich, which was good. It was the same portion size and everything that you would get at Touch of Disney, or that we got in Touch of Disney, and the berry compote on there I thought was good. It did seem like it had less meat in it this time than it did at Touch of Disney, but overall, still a really solid item to get at the park.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was less meat or more of the
batter.
Breading. Yeah. But the ratio is definitely different. So after we had filled our bellies, we did decide to go. We did a couple of attractions that we had already ridden before, just kind of doing a one last hurrah since it was our last day at DCA. But the cherry on top for the day, for me anyways, was that we got the line to go and experience the Doctor Strange Inner Sanctum show. We did catch the evening show. I believe it began at 8:45. We lined up in front of the Sanctum, probably around 8:15, 8:20, I'd say.
Yep.
And then cast members do let you in, so you don't get to go into the Sanctum and kind of camp out. They have you line up to do so. This show, as you all know, I was very excited for the Sanctum in general. I'm going to say it right now, it did not disappoint. The Sanctum itself, beautiful, absolutely beautiful and magical. And
at night, yeah.
And the show, I didn't watch any spoilers because I wanted to go in with no expectations.
Typical Teresa.
Yeah, I wanted to go with no expectations, fresh eyes. It was so fun. I don't know what I was expecting. It wasn't quite what I was expecting, but it was really fun and really great. And the cast member playing Doctor Strange, I think, did a really, really fantastic job.
I did watch spoilers, and I told them afterwards, everybody in our group, because nobody else had watched spoilers, that they've actually modified this a little bit, because in the spoiler I saw, it wasn't as funny. They added some humor to it, which I actually really enjoyed in the show, because it reminded me of a little bit of Aladdin, a Musical Spectacular, how they add in some fun stuff. It wasn't current topic stuff, but it was still fun, which I really enjoyed. Teresa's absolutely right. At night, this place is amazing. I thought that all of the people who are in the show did a really great job. I'd highly recommend seeing it. I really would recommend seeing it at night and get there early.
Oh, for sure. So the nighttime version of it, we don't want to ruin or spoil anything for those of you that want to remain spoiler free, but there are some effects that they do in the show that really we'll say come to life or are more vibrant if you're watching it at night. Basically, there's some lighting that they do have kind of do some different things during the day that isn't as noticeable, obviously, unless you're doing it like watching the show at night. So highly recommend it. Plus it was nice and cool back there.
Yes.
And it was just chill. It was great.
The other thing that they did is you could sit down if you were in the front, which was really nice. So they made everybody, if you wanted to sit, you were the first people in and you kind of got in the front and they sit you down. And then there's, in the back, basically, you could stand up. We also forgot to mention that earlier in the day, we had watched the Avengers Assemble thing that happens on the front of the future e-ticket, like front thing. It's where the Quinjet is, basically. That was also a pretty good show. It was just a few minutes long. We just kind of hung out there. Black Widow comes and does some stuff and fights some people, and Black Panther shows up. And so really a fun show. It was nice to have that entertainment. I will say, I think that a lot of this was in response to people complaining that Galaxy's Edge didn't have a lot of stuff. So it seems like all those things that they wanted in Galaxy's Edge, they really did in Avengers Campus.
We were also joking that we think they took some cues from what people were saying about the sounds of Galaxy's Edge and the music of Galaxy's Edge. Because a lot of complaints when Galaxy's Edge first opened, as you may remember, was that there was no music, and the sounds that were there it was very quiet and very hard to hear. Well, that's not the case when you go to Avengers Campus. It's very da 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 da, very epic, very loud. But sometimes I wonder if that's because they're expecting a lot of people to be in that areas and they want the music to be heard, so it's at a higher level, and we just kept hitting it at maybe like some of the lower points of the day, so it was like extra loud feeling. I don't know, or they just really wanted it to feel very grand, very epic, very Avenger.
Yeah. One other thing about the sound that I thought was really interesting was that Disney does such a good job with their sound that when you're in Cars Land walking towards Avengers Campus, you don't really hear the music. There's no bleed over.
No.
But once you turn a certain corner, it's like da-da, da-da. It's
big fanfare.
Yeah. And it's kind of loud like that throughout the entire land. So I'm not sure why it's that loud, but that's just how it is. So that kind of ended our night, didn't it? Yeah.
So the only other thing we did was we kind of meandered and moseyed through because the Doctor Strange show being at 8:45, DCA is closing at 9 o'clock now. So, of course, that kind of concluded our evening. They do keep the front shops open like they do on Main Street for an hour later. So we did kind of, Vern and I moseyed through. I believe you and James went back to the hotel so you could start showering and resting up and all that kind of stuff. So we walked through the shops. I had a really great cast member interaction with a woman that was sitting up in the AP. There's kind of in one of the front shops. If you're looking, just entering DCA, it's to the right, kind of by the lockers. There's like a AP only shopping counter or whatever. And I
didn't know.
Back there looking to see what they had. And it was kind of very quiet over there. So the woman, I had a nice, really conversation, and she was just super nice, super sweet. So that was fun. Good way to end our Disney day.
So the next morning, we got there earlier than we had any other day because we wanted to get there for rope drop. Teresa wanted to have her coffee and everything ready by 8 o'clock.
Here I thought we were being smart, and I'd get my coffee pre-rope drop. The market house does not open until 8 o'clock, just so everyone knows, which is when rope drop is as well.
Right.
But plus side, I was the first person in line, and I was the first person to be helped and get served their coffee, so that was kind of cool.
When you get to the parks, pay attention to the lines when you go in, because the lines were past the monorail beam, and I was able to find a line that was about halfway between the main gates and the monorail beam that people didn't notice were there, so we were able to...
It was some magical pocket line that nobody knew existed. It was the most bizarre thing. Totally lucked out on that. Yeah,
we did luck out on that. I got to check off a Disney bucket list item that morning. So Teresa and Vern went in to get their coffee, and James and I walked up the street, and I was about to panic because I really wanted to sit on the bench on Main Street that's along the right-hand side, the porch that's there. And there was a family that ran up and got into it right before us. So it was just seconds before. But They sat in it for a couple minutes, and they got up and they moved to the stairs, and I was able to get up and get a spot there and watch everybody kind of gather and get ready to go into the park and have their magical Disney day. And I'm so happy that we were able to do it. It was really magical.
The tough thing with the porch is I always remember there being a bench and like a rocking chair, but I've never actually been up there, just seen people on it. And that isn't the case. It's just 2 single chairs is all that is there. So it's not a very easy thing to do because there's literally 2 places to sit if you're not sitting on the ground or on the steps. So it was pretty cool that you got to do that. Plus, you're kind of like in your own little bubble and away from the chaos of all the people lining up for a rope drop. I was surprised. Main Street was full. It was full of people lining up for rope drops. So people are definitely making the most out of their park tickets and are trying to get there for a rope drop all the way to park close, it feels like. Doesn't seem like... we were talking about this before. The flow of your Disneyland day seems much, much different now that everybody has a park ticket. So it's not like you've got AP holders that are coming for just a couple hours here, a couple hours there. Everybody's kind of in the same boat now. So the flow of your park day is just different because it's not like there's this afternoon rush of people getting off work to hit up the parks or maybe this like midday lull or whatever. It was interesting how different it was.
Yeah, I agree with you that it without the regular annual pass holders and stuff there, it was definitely felt completely different. So once we got in this day and we decided we're going to do our proper day trip, and we went left. So we did Indy, so our normal ride.
Last day we did the norm. We went our normal route.
Right. So we did Indiana Jones. Still had the same problems we had the first day with the boulder and stuff not working.
Different problems though, because the other thing too was the boulder was working this time, but the soundtrack was off. It was like we only were getting parts of the soundtrack and not all of it.
We didn't get the music.
So it was really interesting because we came around the corner and to see the skull with the light or the laser or whatever, and there's that sound. No, we didn't have that at all. So it was a much different experience not having that music.
So after we got off Indy, we did Pirates again. And when we got off Pirates, we decided to go over and get beignets because that was on our list of goodies to get.
And one of our weekly tiers actually treated us to beignets, so that was very, very kind of her. So of course we had to have beignets. I thought it was a perfect Disney breakfast. I don't know about you.
It was very good. I was a little disappointed, I guess, because they did seem a little flatter than we had before. But the flavor and stuff was there. You also got the mint julep.
I did get a mint julep. Mint julep isn't a must-have for me, but they are nice and they're refreshing. The 4 of us did share one, and that was, more than enough. It's not a Disney drink that I have to have all to myself, if that makes sense. But I do enjoy a good beignet or a good mint julep. After we enjoyed our beignets, I grabbed my mint julep to go, and we decided to take a grand circle tour on the train and hopped on right there at the New Orleans train station.
The reason we did this was there was absolutely nobody in line at the New Orleans Square station, which I don't know what was going on. We even got in the last car on the train, and there was no one else on there with us.
We had a car all to ourselves until Toontown.
It was wonderful. So we did the whole Grand Circle tour. We had a great cast member that talked to us a couple times, and enjoyed just finally on the last day our Grand Circle tour.
After our Grand Circle tour, we hopped off. Of course, went over, said hi to our friends, the Happy Haunts at the Haunted Mansion. We decided to head over to Fantasyland by quick stopping over at the Fantasy Fair. We wanted to stop by Maurice's Treats because I really wanted to try the Madeline Trio. It was 3 separate cookies that were themed to the Disney princesses. One was Snow White themed. We had Princess Aurora and also Belle. 3 different cookies. They were fantastic. I want to say the trio texture was like $6. I do want to give a tip. We did try to get this trio of cookies on our first day in the parks. We did try to get these on Saturday. We went over in the afternoon, though. They had sold out for the day. They don't get restocked midday. So we did go. It was around 10:30 that we went and stopped by there. The other thing, too, don't panic. They actually keep these under the counter in a cooler, so they don't have one on display. So just make sure you ask the cast member before you assume that they're out, because they don't actually have them visible. But the Snow White cookie, they're all very, very cute. I had to stop and take a picture of them, of course. So the trios, each cookie was a different flavor. The Snow White cookie was like a chocolate chip cookie kind of flavoring, or like a cookies and cream one. It had chocolate chips in it. The Belle one was a lemon flavor, and then the Aurora one was actually some sort of a berry flavor. Of the three, I actually think my favorite was the Aurora one, the berry one. Tage felt it was a little too berry.
For me, it was too much berry. I didn't even try the lemon one because I don't really like lemon. But I thought the cookie one was very good.
Yeah, I like the berry one. Maybe it depends on your bite, because the bites that had some more of the frosting with it kind of blended the flavors together really well. My second favorite was the Snow White one with the chocolate chips. That was good too. The Belle one was for me, actually had the lightest flavor. I didn't get too much lemon from that one.
Yeah, I thought the berry one was just too berry. I took one bite and it was just like a berry explosion in my face. I did like the texture, and I thought that the level of sweetness and stuff that they had was really good.
They were very soft.
So we did our kind of last another round of Fantasyland trying to get some stuff done. So we did Snow White again, and we did Pinocchio, because we had not done Pinocchio yet, which... it's kind of funny. So after they've added things like the projections and stuff to Alice, they've redone Snow White, they've added some projection stuff to Peter Pan. I feel like Pinocchio is the only one that kind of hasn't had any type of update.
Oh, no, Mr. Toad.
Oh, Mr. Toad also has not had any update.
Mr. Toad is the least updated, I would say, of all the dark rides. Toad needs some love.
Toad probably does need some love. We decided we wanted to ride Space Mountain again, so we went over to Tomorrowland and rode Space Mountain again. And then... we decided to do some lunch. So producers... and watch the Disneyland band.
Yes, yep.
So producers James and Vern ordered pizza from Alien Pizza Planet. I mobile ordered, and so did Teresa, mobile ordered some stuff from the Jolly Holiday for lunch.
Yeah, but we watched so while the producers were enjoying their Pizza Planet, we watched the Disneyland band perform. They kind of perform on the ramp at the Star Wars Launch Bay building, and very fun. It was very, of course, very heavily Star Wars themed. They did have a medley in the front that was attraction themed.
Yes.
That was fun too.
Yeah, and it's nice to see the band back. We had seen them, of course, for the first day on the 17th, but this time it was nice to see them actually have a performance. They were very animated. They did a lot of stuff. They were kind of doing some dancing. They played the Cantina thing, and they were kind of pretending to be Cantina people and stuff like that. So a lot of fun. We found a nice shady spot there to watch them, and it was really good. The producers thought that the pizza was really good. If you do go to Alien Pizza Planet in the near future, they did just reopen, and we did have kind of an interesting situation with them. So if you go to Alien Pizza Planet without a mobile order, what they do is they write down your order on a piece of paper first, give it to you, you take it to the register and pay, then you take the receipt over to one of the 4 or 5 counters that they had there, and they will get your food for you. If you have a mobile order, you check in with the person at the door, you pick a line. When you get to the front, you show them your mobile order, they will give you your food. But everybody used the same set of lines after you paid, basically.
It was kind of a mess, because even with mobile order, it said, return to line 1, 2, 3, whatever, specific line. However, the cast members were directing, because things weren't moving as smoothly as they should have been, to kind of, just go to whatever line has the shortest line. And so the cast members behind the counter then were kind of having to jump back and forth to lines to find your mobile order ticket. So it was not our smoothest mobile order experience. It did take, I want to say, after it said our food was ready, it was probably 15 minutes before we got to a cast member to then get our food. However, the good news is the food wasn't actually quote-unquote ready, so it wasn't like our food had been sitting somewhere for those 15 minutes. They went and pulled a fresh slice for us right then and there. So the pizza was still very, very fresh, very, very cheesy and ooey-gooey wonderfulness.
Yeah, it looked like it was really good, which is funny, because you were talking about the mobile order experience not being very good. Right after this, I thought we had the best mobile experience we had of the whole park.
Hands down, Jolly Holiday has mobile order down to a complete science.
Yeah, so basically, you walk up, you hit, I'm here, start preparing my order. They won't tell you to come get it until it's out. And so they have somebody on the little patio there checking stuff in. And basically what happened was I was standing there watching them. They brought out Teresa's order, set it down. As soon as the lady set it on the counter, Teresa's phone was buzz, it's ready. She walked up, gave the number, gave you the tray, done. And then I did the same thing. I saw my food come out. They hit the thing, it buzzed, I got it done. So it was fantastic how they did.
Very, very smooth.
So I just had the grilled cheese with the tomato basil soup from Jolly Holiday, which I had before, and I thought it was great. They put a lot of cheese in it. It's just wonderful. I just really enjoy it.
It was very gooey and stringy. Your cheese. I had the salad from there, which I had not had a salad at Jolly Holiday before. Highly recommend it, though, if you're a salad person. It had like a raspberry vinaigrette dressing, candied pecans, there was craisins in it, feta cheese, cherry tomatoes with a nice greens and lettuce blend. Very nice, very refreshing, and a good size and a good price, because we had actually looked at Plaza Inn and we're thinking we were maybe going to mobile order from Plaza Inn, and they had a similar salad. Now, don't quote me, I don't remember if the one at Plaza Inn had chicken or not, or what exactly was the difference, but the salads were similar. But for some reason, it was like $3 or $4 more. So I'm thinking maybe it had chicken, but I was very pleasantly pleased with the price of the salad over at Jolly Holiday. So I feel like Jolly Holiday is kind of like this hidden gem that everybody kind of maybe doesn't always remember or think about, since it's towards the front, closer to the front of the park and the hub. And usually when you're thinking about food, you're deep into one of the lands, so you're not really thinking about it. It's one of the ones, at least that I don't think about, that I need to make sure that I keep top of mind for food and not just for treats.
Yeah, because I always think of it like the treat place, because it's usually where they have the cupcakes and the macaroons and the macarons and just all of that stuff. After this, we went up to enjoy the lovely air conditioning, because again, it was a little hot out that day, and we watched Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, which is always a treat. We did arrive in between shows, so we went into the Disney gallery there and kind of looked around for a little bit. There was some neat stuff in there. There was a front of the firehouse with Walt's light on it that was really cool, but it was $2,000. In the vault, they actually had the front of Sleeping Beauty Castle in the same way, and that was $3,500.
It was like a shadow box looking thing. It was very cool.
It was cool. Yeah, I kind of wanted it.
But that's just such a great shop. The other cool thing, too, for those pin traders out there is they have this giant pin trading cork board there. It's like the size of something you'd have in your room or your to-do list or whatever, and it was very, very large. And so I was very excited because they did have one of the apple pins, one of the Mickey caramel apple pins that I had started collecting. This one was themed for Mr. Goofy, so of course I had to pick that one up too. Pin trading is a little bit different in the parks right now. You're not actually really interacting with a cast member. You're just kind of switching the pins on the boards with them, kind of keeping an eye on. It's more less contact, I guess would be a good way to say it. But still fun.
So we had a boarding group for Rise of the Resistance, and we went back to Batu and did that a little bit later. And while we were there, we decided that we wanted to get Ronto wraps, because one of the things we wanted to get was a Ronto-less wrap, which was the veggie version. Teresa ordered her coffee drink finally. We went back there and picked those things up after we rode Rise of the Resistance again. We actually went into Docking Bay 7 and ate in there. Now, I had never actually been in there before, and I don't think you had either. And it was really kind of cool in there, and we were able to find a seat pretty easily. And you are able to bring your Ronto wraps and stuff in there to eat. So, a really great place. There was a cast member in there that I want to talk about because I thought he was so cool. He came over and wiped our table down, and he had 2 little shoulder porgs. And it was great because he was so in character. I asked him about them because nobody else had any porgs on. And I said, "Did you adopt those?" And he said, "Oh, he fostered them or something."
Their mother left and abandoned them, is what he said. I was like, "Oh no, poor porgs."
Yeah, and so it was cute because he likes them when they're small, and I don't know. It was just a really great cast member interaction. He likes the small porgs better than he likes the larger porgs, because then he had this whole little backstory about the porgs, and told us about all the other porgs that are back on his outpost where he lives. All that it was really fun. It was a really great interaction. He was very in character, very in theme. Just very fun. Back to the food, though. So I did get the... It does sound like all we've done on this trip is eat, by the way. It does.
We did do a lot of eating. A lot of eating. But yeah, so I got the Ronto-less garden wrap, I believe is what the full name is. Holy cow, this is great.
Now arriving Irvine. This stop is Irvine.
I think I like this one better than a regular Ronto wrap. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. I think I like it better. They had some sort of a sauce on this one. So it's a meatless kind of like sausage that's in there. And then there's some roasted zucchini, some other veggies in there. A really great sauce that has a little bit of zip to it. And they toast your pita. Very flavorful. Very, very good. So glad that I decided to try this.
I agreed. I thought it was really good too. It had kind of like a chorizo kind of texture to it, and I thought that it was very, very good. And I agree with you. The toasted part of it was also like added a real niceness to it. So about your coffee drink, I feel like we have to talk about this.
Oh, my coffee was good. The cold brew black calf. Very, very good. Very light, refreshing. I wasn't sure because I've never had it. It had like a sweet cream cheese with it, and it was like a sweet cream, but it was like cream cheese cream, if that makes any sense. I know that's really hard to explain, but it was a liquid with the cold brew. Very good, very light, refreshing. Still had like a subtle hint of sweetness and just kind of creamy. Very good. The only difficult thing for me was the chocolate cereal balls that were on top of it, and trying to eat those before they got too soggy after sitting in the coffee for too long.
So we went and rode Smuggler's Run again, and then producer James was able to go over and get blue milk finally because he wanted to try the blue milk, which he said he really liked it, actually. He enjoyed it. It was hot out, so it was cool and refreshing. The only thing I thought was funny was, Teresa, you said the only thing that you thought was a little off-putting was the fact that the milk stand...
Yeah, I don't like how they have the milk like hanging from the top of the stand because it's always very hot and terrible back there, right? Because there's no shade on Batu, apparently. So the thought of this milk being like stored in these vats outside just doesn't make me want to drink it.
I mean, I don't blame you on that one. Of course, we left Batu finally, and this is the last time we left Batu for the trip.
Before we left Batu, we did decide to go on Smuggler's Run, and we had an interesting experience on Smuggler's Run. Hondo was missing. He must have, I don't know, took a break or something. But in Hondo's place, we had cargo bins and this big tarp. So I don't know. Yeah, we don't know what was going on with Hondo that day, but we were glad that we got to see him in the day prior that we had been back there. But that was a first for me. I'd never been on that attraction when Hondo was not doing his thing up on his stand there in the pre-show room.
Yeah, so he was gone, but he did show up on the TV screens there and talk a little bit. This was kind of an interesting situation because the sound seemed a little out of sync with him in the projection.
I was joking. So, right, it was the B mode. So I was joking that it was the C mode since Hondo's lips were not moving along with the voice that we were hearing. So, yeah, Hondo was having a bad day.
And producer James was a little frustrated with this one. So we got in and we got into the Falcon room, like where they have the board game and everything, and we were the last group in there, but like the first one called to go to our thing, and we actually went out this whole other section that I thought was weird, and we didn't even get like the pre-show to the cockpit. It started to play, and the cast member was like, all right, let's get in.
Yeah,
and we were with two people that had never ridden it before, and they seemed confused as to what to do because they had skipped out on all of the like explaining why you're pressing buttons and what you should be doing. But in the end, we still had a really good time. It was still fun. So, like I said, we left Batu, and we ended up going to Fantasyland again, and we rode Snow White again. So I wanted to ride the Mark Twain, and we ended up riding the Mark Twain around the river, which was nice. There wasn't a ton of people on there. There was a cool breeze. It was close to the last little bit for the night. It was just very enjoyable.
It was a really nice time to take a trip around the rivers. So after that, we decided to go back over to Fantasyland because we were trying to hit up Alice in Wonderland because we hadn't gone down the rabbit hole yet. So on our way over, we did decide to do the castle walkthrough. Always fun. For some reason, it was very hot in the castle that afternoon. They didn't have very good airflow going, but all of the sets and all of the different viewing windows to see the story of Sleeping Beauty looked very, very good. And just kind of a reminder, because it has been a little time for some of us since we've been there, just to kind of hang out those windows, because they do have some screens and projections. So Tage actually accidentally missed Maleficent turning into her dragon form on one of the scenes, because it did take a little while for that scene to kind of cycle through. So just take your time and enjoy the area.
Yeah. we did eventually make it over to Alice in Wonderland, and we were able to enjoy that attraction. One of the things we learned from Alice in Wonderland was that a lot of we learned it all throughout the trip, but the waits for these seemed to be like about half what they were saying, because it said 30 all day, and we got on in about 15 minutes. So very enjoyable, though, like normal. Everything in here seemed to be working and doing great.
And then to end the evening and to end our time in the parks, we decided, of course, to take in Mickey's Mixed Magic one final time. But this time we decided to actually go enjoy it from Small World. They do put the projections up on the Small World facade, and then the fireworks they feel like they're right above you. And the great thing about this area is there's no trees to block you. And I didn't know this, but the cast members let everyone sit down. So you're sitting down watching the fireworks. Vern and I thought that was hilarious because, right, this music, if you haven't experienced Mickey's Mixed Magic yet, it's kind of very dance party-like, and it's like very upbeat, fun music. So we can't help ourselves but to like be dancing around. So he and I stood up in the back so we could bounce around and dance. Everyone else was able to sit and take a break from being on their feet all day, which was really nice and really unexpected. When have you ever gotten to sit and watch fireworks?
It was nice. The only thing I think we missed out on by doing it at It's a Small World was we didn't have the spotlights that were around by the castle.
Yeah, or the lasers.
But we got a really great fireworks view, and the projections were great back there.
And they still had the bubbles and such, so that was fun too.
It was. Our last, I know this is going to shock a lot of you who have been listening for a long time, but we rode the Matterhorn as our last attraction of the night, and they were testing one of the sides because they're trying to get more bobsleds to go through at one time, so they were doing some testing after 9 p.m. on that side, so it was down to one side, so it did take quite a while for us to get through and ride that, but we did enjoy the last little ride on the Matterhorn, and then we kind of took our time making our way out of the park. We took some beautiful night pictures of Main Street, and just ended just on a nice, relaxing kind of chill Main Street note.
Yeah, it was kind of worked to our advantage that it took a little while to get through the Matterhorn because a lot of the guests had kind of already cleared out, so we were kind of some of the last guests like moseying around, so we just kind of hung out by the castle for a little while, took some pictures, just felt very, like you said, very carefree, very relaxed. Perfect way to end a Disney trip.
Yeah. Overall, I think we had a really fun time on this trip. It was a little bit busier, I think, than we were expecting. Of course, the
busy
heat.
crowd-wise.
Busy crowd-wise. The heat of the day, if you're in the shade, felt great. There was a little bit of a breeze, but in the sun was a little hard to deal with at sometimes. But so otherwise...
Some tips. Take shade when you can take shade. Make sure you're taking lots and lots of water, of course.
Yep.
The other thing, too, don't let attraction wait times scare you off, because even though some of the wait times looked crazy, like Tage was saying, a lot of them weren't. They were over-posting some of them. Some of them were correct or even a little bit longer than what was posted, but for the most part, our wait times were actually shorter than what was posted.
Yeah.
We still were able to get in a ton of attractions every day. I know we didn't go through and cover and list every single one. Maybe next week we'll have to say how many attractions we did per day. Never did we feel rushed, like we were like racing to and from things. So we just got to enjoy our time there, and I think it was a really successful trip.
Yeah, I think so too. It was a lot of fun. Of course, it was a lot of fun meeting weekly tiers throughout the park and stuff like that, and we had that meetup and everything, so it was great. I'm looking forward to coming back a couple times in the next year. I know for sure we're going to be here for your wedding in March.
Oh, yeah.
And
plus
the weather
D23.
should be a little bit better. Oh, and D23. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. It was nice to be back at the resort and ride attractions and all that. And it's just great to be back in our happy place at Disneyland. Well, we hope that you guys eventually, if you haven't already, you get to be able to make it back to the park. We hope that our review of things and our trip kind of help you plan your trip.
Yeah. So until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us. And we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.